Hi there, Sandy Freshy here, back with another video. This is actually a follow-on to the video that I just released not too long ago about melancholy. And this video is just an explanation of the mechanics of how that happened, how I came to experience melancholy so palpably in my body, which then led to the insights that I had that I shared on that video. If you didn't see that video, I'll link it somewhere up here, and you can go and take a look at that. But today I want to talk about how two people with undefined emotional solar plex centers can affect each other emotionally. And this is really important for those of you, of course, who are undefined emotionally, because I think it will give you some insight into how you take in or can take in the energy of emotion, even if your partner or your spouse or your child or the friends around you are not emotional. So my experience in particular with this has to do with that feeling of melancholy through the individual circuitry, which I explained in the other video. I want to first give you the backstory of how I took in that energy of melancholy, that emotion of melancholy, and amplified it in my own undefined emotional solar plexus. And then I want to show you some charts to nail down the mechanics of how that happened. Not long ago, I was at an outdoor event and I was sitting next to someone who, in her design, has an undefined emotional solar plexus. And she had had a very emotional day at work. So she was processing her day, right? And at one point, she even started to cry. And it was really palpable, and I was very aware at the time, because I knew a little bit about her chart, that she had probably taken in a lot of emotional energy and been affected by it. What I didn't understand is how it would affect me the next day. And that was through this energy that I took in from her, her amplified emotions into my undefined emotional solar plexus, which then created for me the sense of melancholy throughout the entire next day. So let me show you, first of all, her chart, and then I will show you both of our charts together in a composite. And by the way, she did give me permission to do this. I don't have her name on the chart, but she does know that I'm actually showing her chart. Okay, so here is my friend's chart, and here's what I want to point out about it. She's got the undefined emotional solar plexus here to the right of the sacral. It's undefined because it's white, and she has the gate 22 defined, which is relevant to this story. The gate 22 is in the individual circuitry, and if you watched the last video about this whole dynamic of melancholy, you know that if you have individual circuitry, the individual circuitry carries this frequency of melancholy. She also has the 3828 and the 5710, which are part of that whole individual circuitry, along with 43. And I may have missed something here, and 25. So these are all channels and gates that carry this frequency of melancholy. So let me share my chart with her chart, and then you will see how we got our melancholy hooked up together. Okay, so here is our composite chart. My friend was on the right, and I am on the left. My chart is on the left. So here are, in blue here, are her gates and channels, and my gates and channels are in the orange. So in particular, I want to draw your attention to her gate 22 and my gate 12, the channel of openness. you can look at the mechanics of this, and you can see how the 12 meets with the 22. It forms this whole channel of the 12-22, and it defines the emotional solar plexus. So you can look at these two gates that we have, you know, me with my undefined throat, and that's a whole other topic, and her having the 22 on her undefined solar plexus, me also having the undefined solar plexus. So if you were to imagine that she had one end of a hose and I had the other end of a hose. Now granted, she's walking in having picked up a lot of emotion that she's already processing, that she's feeling in a very amplified way, very, very strong emotion. It's not hers, it's just passing through. But she has this end of the hose, one end of the melancholy hose, and I have the other end of this emotional melancholy hose. And you can imagine those two hoses being coupled together, and it creates this circuit where her amplified emotion gets downloaded into my undefined emotional center. So that's how two people with an undefined emotional solar plexus can share this experience of amplified emotions, how two people can be affected, two people who are undefined in the emotional center can be affected by emotions. And in this case, it was the emotion of melancholy, which is very strong. It can be very dramatic. And as I've mentioned in previous videos about how the undefined person with the undefined solar plexus can experience outside emotion, it can also be very distorted at times. So that's what I was feeling in my body the entire next day, was this sense of the melancholy, which I won't go into here because you can go back and watch that video. I got a lot of insight about what it's like to be a person that carries that frequency that's hardwired through the individual circuitry. So you'll want to go back and watch that. But what it told me in terms of how I manage the energy that's coming into me is that it's not something that I need to hold on to, but it is something when I experience it that I can borrow for, in this case, for my own transformation, to excavate some of the things that I needed to release and let go of, and then I could let it flow through. Now, one of the ways that I did that was that I got in a tub of water with Epsom salts and did my own purification routine, my own processing, so that I could feel what was coming through me and then release it. So for those of you who have an undefined emotional solar plexus and you've had these experiences of these palpable emotions, can you recognize it when it happens? And what do you do about it when you recognize it? So that's what I would love to know in the comments. I'd love to know your experiences with how you have been affected. If you've ever had this experience with someone who is undefined emotionally, and then how did you borrow that energy and work with it and then let it flow through you and out of you? All right, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like it. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon that will notify you of when I upload new videos. And of course, if you know someone who can also be served by this video, please, please, please share it with them. So thanks again, and until the next time, be well.